Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Mario Cristobal, the Miami Hurricanes, landing their quarterback of the future in the 2026 class, coming from four-star quarterback Dereon Coleman from Jones in Orlando, Florida. And I kind of would just start with this. I think this is a fascinating quarterback prospect in 2026. And I love that Mario Cristobal, Shannon Dawson, this offensive coaching staff just kind of betting on some really impressive traits with Dereon Coleman. He's a guy that hasn't been a full-time starter at the high school level yet, but I mean, Miami's seen him play and throw live a lot over the last couple of weeks and months. Go bet on your guy. I think they did that with Luke Nickel in the 2025 class. That certainly seems to have worked, where you land the commitment of Luke Nickel around this time a year ago. What does Luke Nickel do during his junior year? He goes out, throws for 4,000 yards, almost 40 touchdowns, and wins the state championship in Georgia. So you've seen Miami have some success with, identifying their guys early, and just, if you like them, go get them. And you look at Dereon Coleman, although not necessarily the biggest frame at 6'1", 165. This is a quarterback that has one of the livest arms that you'll see in the 2026 cycle. Excuse me. I think there are some serious traits that you can be betting on with a guy like Dereon Coleman. I think we revisit this name with him 12 months in the future, him going into his senior year. You might be talking about one of the more coveted quarterbacks that we see in the 2026 class. Fired up to get into the film. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys, to the Miami Hurricane fans. Y'all know I have a blast talking this program, breaking down the commitments. I can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Dereon Coleman. And again, I think the first thing that you love is just how live the arm is, right? He's not necessarily the biggest frame, and you kind of assume that he might not have kind of that really big arm. You take a look at the film and say, this kid's ability to create velocity on the football routinely is extraordinarily impressive. And I think secondly, you really like to fit in the Shannon Dawson offense, where he's got a really quick release, can kind of spray it all around the yard. You look at Shannon Dawson, that's kind of how this offense is designed to run, where we're getting the ball out quickly, on time, to all parts of the field, to our playmakers. I think Dereon Coleman's a quarterback that can come in and run that kind of offense. And that's something that sometimes frustrates me, in terms of seeing a lot of coaches just kind of star chase and go grab the guys that are ranked the highest, and maybe not have as much regard to grabbing guys that fit what you want to do on both sides of the football. You look at Dereon Coleman and say, yeah, this is a guy that can run that Shannon Dawson offense. And I think that certainly matters. I think the last thing you want to talk about, he can extend plays. And what's one thing that I was frustrated with, Miami Hurricane fans were frustrated with in 2023, is just Tyler Van Dyke's inability to create something out of nothing. Be a quarterback that defenses have to respect in terms of breaking the pocket, using your legs athletically. You got to have a quarterback, especially in this era of college football, that can do some of that stuff. You look at all the best quarterbacks, not only at the college level, but the NFL level too. Most of them are not necessarily all Lamar Jacksons, but they're guys that can extend plays. You look at Dereon Coleman, he's a guy that thrives breaking the pocket, extending plays. I think that's another massive trait that I think Miami was certainly looking for in this quarterback class in 2026. You get into the film, and again, I think you first start with just one thing that kind of stood out to me, the pocket presence for a kid that's a sophomore in high school. We're standing in there, and then you talk about the quick release. I just laugh every time. It seems like how easy it is for him to just put this ball on a rope 45 yards down the field. One, the pocket presence, you love him climbing the pocket. But number two, that ball just comes out so clean out of his hand. His ability to create velocity is kind of some next level stuff. Now you see the athleticism, breaking the pocket, being a threat to the defense, extending plays. I think all Miami fans are excited about this. Different kind of throws. Off the back foot, we're just going to have to put this right in the bucket there. Kind of that rainbow throw, if you will. You'll see a guy like Dereon Coleman mix up the kind of throws. He'll pepper some in there, but he'll be a guy that's rainbowing them and kind of layering some footballs as well. A lot of different throws in toolkits, a lot of different throws in the toolkit, I should say, for a guy like Dereon Coleman. And the guy that I think most of all, you just kind of feel that he's pretty comfortable running this offense, which is something that I'm starting to increasingly look for. Is, hey, show me the quarterbacks. Like, I love this throw. I mean, we're gonna just see like a kind of a you get in that zone coverage, and we're gonna have to throw our wide receiver into that zone. That's exactly what he does. Puts it right where it needs to. Again, that's not necessarily the flashiest throw, but Dereon Coleman just seems like he's in such command of the offense. You talk about a little gamer. We're going to take some contact here, but we're going to push the ball 50 plus yards down the field. We're going to drop it in a bucket with the safety coming over from the middle. This kid's a gamer, and I think that's something that's important at the quarterback position. I can see why Miami is kind of betting on this kid, right? He, again, was a part-time starter as a sophomore in high school. Miami's betting on the traits that they've seen on the film. They've obviously seen this kid throw a lot in person. I really am intrigued. Talk about another gamer throw. I mean, we're taking contact right here, and we're going to push it. There's some flashes that you absolutely love with Dereon Coleman. I think you're just betting on this, right? Hey, we're going to escape the pocket. We're going to keep our eyes downfield, and we're going to throw an absolute dot. Again, what I love the most is like his ability to create like some mustard and some velocity on these throws, on the run. It's kind of some next level stuff. Like, there are some things that you really like with Dereon Coleman. Again, really, really polished. I love how much velocity he can create. But we're extending the plays. We're twitchy in the pocket. We're hard to bring down, and we're going to keep our eyes down the field, and we're going to put it right there on the money. Put our receiver in stride. Let him operate after the catch. There is a lot to like with Dereon Coleman. I'm fired up for the Hurricanes. I'm fired up to see what this kid looks like his junior year. If I'm a Miami fan, like I am, locking into Jones High School football during the junior year and just seeing what Dereon Coleman is doing, because I think there's some big-time upside, some big-time development that can take place. We'll cut it there. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.